Hello, everyone. This is Holly. I'm going to share the link in our chat space on 7H. Our Hangouts are open to anyone who is registered on 7H. So I hope you will check the link, share it on our YouTube channel, and join us on 7H English language community and practice your English with us. And I hope we'll soon see several people joining us here in the chat or in the Hangout, excuse me. And today's proposed topics are anything that relates or starts with the letter S. So snow, our first day of spring here in Virginia, we had 5 inches or more of snow, not our typical spring day. So snow, slush, the service or lack of service of snowplow operation, the panic that Virginians have. I used to live in Syracuse, New York, and in Syracuse we had an average of 200 inches of snow every winter. And most of the time school was not canceled and people managed in the snow. Here, everything canceled, even though the weather was not that terrible. Hello, Gerard.
Hello, Holly.
So I hope we'll have a few folks joining today.
Yes, I hope that too.
Meanwhile, I like the sunshine that's helping to melt the snow. Our first day of spring was not very spring-like. Yeah. So what's new with Gerard? We have a new sweater. I like your sweater.
Yes.
Also starts with S.
So today, are we talking about things that start with S?
We can. I suggested that because everything I was thinking about started with S or C2. We don't have to, of course. It's open conversation. So do you have something you would like to talk about?
About starting with S, let me think.
Stephen Hawking?
Space? Travel?
Space, right? Yeah. Yeah. We lost a true leader there with Hawking's death recently. Scientists and space. So there's been a lot in the news the last year or so with in all different ways with space travel. So it looks like people are finding it cheaper and more successful and frequent to make little travels up into space. So have you registered for your first flight yet?
No, I'm not a millionaire or a billionaire.
Do you have in your mind a price that you're waiting for when you'll say, yes, I'll try this?
I think I will be too late, too old.
I don't know. Things are happening awfully fast. Yeah. Start budgeting now. You might make it. It's interesting being as old as I am and having lived through different space travel successes and failures. I still remember vividly the day the Challenger blew up. That was all watching. That was so hard. Amber was just a baby. Yeah.
Yes, and there was a teacher on board.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, the first woman, I think it was on.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So lots of trials and failures and partial successes. But Saturn, all the photos of Saturn and how they've learned how to better treat the astronauts coming back after a long time in space, how they carry them now because they've realized that their bodies have a lot of reacclimating to do. So the testing and the struggles are coming up with amazing results. Have there been efforts from Spain?
Spain is together with the European Union, so Spain contributed inside the European Association. I don't know, a space association, something like this.
Okay. I don't hear a lot from Europe that I can recall. Yeah, but interesting here with how quickly to highlight government inefficiency, right? How quickly an independent has made such success at such less cost. Yeah.
Yes, Elon Musk.
Yeah. Fascinating. And I don't know if anyone will learn from that, but but the option is there. Yeah.
And what about the NASA? It looks like, they don't do much about the space.
That's pretty much my reaction to anything governmental. Yeah. We point out and are aware of more and more ridiculous aspects or facets of funding waste and the benefits paid for employees that don't have much accountability or don't get much accomplished or work at such a different level and pace than the rest of the employees, civil employees. So it makes you wonder why something isn't done. So President Trump has stopped the hiring of more and more wasted labor, but not in the most sensible or realistic manner, it seems. But thousands of employees fewer doing the same amount of work inefficiently. Yeah. So it's fun, always funny for me here when we have a snowstorm. Everything was canceled. It's the Festival of the Book week, and they canceled all these events with people in from out of state and out of country and authors, and the roads were not that bad, and it wasn't that much snow, and it melted as it fell, but total panic. Kids had fun sledding.
So do you have snow?
We still have some. It'll be mostly gone by today, but we had over 5 inches here and even more near here. So fell fast and melted fast. So posted a few photos. It was a pretty snow, not much wind during the storm, so it just piled up prettily. Today it's windy and cold, and they're trying to talk spring, so they're broadcasting how the big spike in temperatures, it's going to be a 40 today, but it's going to feel like 34. So close to freezing, it's going to feel like, but it's a spring surge of temperature.
Isn't your state in the south of America?
Yes.
I thought the south was warm.
We had warm last week. That was strange, very strange. Yeah. Oh, Elizabeth is here. Hello. Gerard, I don't know if you know, but this is Cosmic Gnome on the site. Her name.
Yes, I remember her.
Yeah. So can you hear us, Elizabeth? Do you hear us? Hi, do you hear
Hi,
us? Speak, please.
pick up.
Let us hear your voice. We can't hear you. Working on it. Okay. Let us know if you need some help. So Gerard, you have a question for Elizabeth. You have a new person to close my mouth and get more conversation from someone else.
I think I met her on Loop. Is it possible?
It is entirely possible. Silence starts with an S, but not helpful in a hangout. I was hoping Irina would be able to join, and there was another member that I'm not sure if I've spoken with or not who might join today, but obviously not here yet. Missing the busyness of having more folks.
I have one question for you, Holly.
Yes.
I see the new badges. What does the leaf mean?
It means you've been active recently, and I did post that in our help space.
How many badges do we have?
I'm trying to keep it simple, so I have the magnifying glass for where are you, people who have not been active lately, and green just means active lately, and then we have Black Mata volunteering to be a go-to mentor or guide for the site. And I think that's all. Well, on my mind. Do you object or have suggestion or
No,
thoughts?
it is okay for me. It's
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know if many of our current members care that much. In the past, some people really cared about the badges, and I don't know if I changed Abdul's to a looking for you. He cares about badges. I was hoping that would bring him back. But Elizabeth, why can't you figure out the mic? You have a little symbol of a mic, and if it has a line through it, you click it to turn it on. Your volume sometimes is the culprit, sometimes the speaker choice in your settings, but not usually a problem. We want to hear you, even if you don't want to. No mic is found. Gerard, help her. What does she need to do?
Which operating system is she using? Windows? Mac?
I think she's on a Windows 7.
The old Windows 7.
I don't think it's Windows 7, is it? Is it Windows 7? It might be. So do you have a headset on, or do you have a headset you can use? You will want a headset. And you don't have one that you can use? Did you always borrow mine? Nope. Elizabeth, what will we do with you? I might have one hanging around here we can give you.
The ones you use with your mobile phones usually work.
Yeah, if you have
like this one.
Right,
the mic is here and the headphones.
Pods, earbuds. That's what
earbuds.
Looking now. It doesn't start with S, but we'd love you to find some earbuds. Ends with an S. I find them so uncomfortable, and most people don't. I don't. Crazy Holly. So, what other topics can we bring up that would appeal to Gerard?
That are not gloomy.
Yes, right.
And not about politics.
Yes, yeah.
Not about you know who.
Right. And I also purposely left off this word because it's not at all cheerful. Right. Yeah. Harder and harder to get through the day focused on things that are cheerful. I can share that Pedro, I don't know if you remember Pedro from his attempts, but he's improved so much. He's so much more confident and talking. He joined our
from Brazil
class. And
Pedro from Brazil. Samba.
Samba, the dance.
The dance from Brazil.
Yeah, I have a fun post
the
on
music
the site about samba, but no one's replied. Do you know how to samba?
No, but I know the music.
Do you dance much, Gerard?
Not really.
Yeah, I don't either, and I'm so uncoordinated that I don't. When I dance, I just say I do the chicken. I don't have much style or rhythm or.
You can dance la Macarena. Do you remember?
I can't even follow that. I get all mixed up. I can't even do the YMCA correctly. Goodness, the crazy styles that come and go. I used to try to learn square dancing, and I always get people bumping into each other. But fun to watch, but I'm just so uncoordinated. It's not my natural. But I like my samba post with selfie sticks and sambas, but no one's responded to it yet.
Okay, I'll watch it later. I take a look.
It's an old post. I tried a couple times. So I have new toys. We can talk about toys. I have this.
What's that?
And I have, where is my other little toy? I don't even know if I told Joe about this yet, but I bought a selfie stick. I gave her mine because I never used it and she loved it. So I sent it home with her. But this little guy holds a camera and you can bend him around a tree branch or bend him to hold onto a fence or hoping that I will start doing some videos. But I need Elizabeth to help me edit or show me how to convert the videos or something. I'm so pathetic with that aspect of technology. But hoping to do a bit of that this year.
Do you have a GoPro cam?
No. Do you?
No, I have a smartphone.
Right. That's all this whole. Yeah, the GoPros are interesting, but often bumpy. Well, unless they're in motion, but fun. People that put them on the front of their bikes and ride the trails are interesting.
All these crazy people that do things to show off on Facebook or Instagram, even some of them die doing such crazy things.
Yeah. I noticed it wasn't a very good, I shouldn't say good, I should use a better adjective. It wasn't a very detailed article, so I didn't share it, but was reading a blurb post about how different technologies and smartphones and social media, all the Instagram and WhatsApp and Telegram, and how all of this is changing how younger generations especially, but all of us, how we learn.
Especially millennials.
Yeah, probably, and even whatever they're going to call the next generation following millennials, even more so. But so how do you think it's changed how you learn? TED Talks has been and sharing, but has it changed how you learn about anything, not just English?
Yes. I think that it has two sides. We waste a lot of time with our smartphones and all of the devices, or our computer even. But it's a great tool to get all sort of information that in the past you had to go to the library and even finding outdated information.
Yeah, so oxymoronic, right? Waste time and saves time. The yin and yang of it all. Yeah, I mean, when I think about the hours I would spend writing a research paper and how I can accomplish that in so much less time now, but it's not the same experience. Some of the social aspect of talking to people as you're researching in the card catalog, and when you're in the library, and whether or not you're too shy to ask for help, and the piles I used to pull off the shelves, piles of articles and books, and then sort through and mark pages. And there's something richer for me about that than doing it all online. And yet, for example, like at the book sale that I've been preparing for, so many people are donating their cookbooks because they don't look at them anymore. They just go online for recipes and comparing. And I do that too. I still use some of my cookbooks, but it's an add-on to online availability.
During my teenagerhood, the library was a very important part of my life. I used to read 2 books a week at least, and a lot of magazines and everything. So I knew plenty of things.
And did you talk with people, meet people at the library?
Not really, because inside the library you must be quiet, and I was very shy too. So
yeah.
I was a bookworm.
Good thing to be. Yeah. I don't remember making too many friends in the library until college, because in the college, certain floors you were allowed to talk, and there were open reading areas and private study carrels. And I often hid away in the little study carrels, but did see the same faces and learned of a few friendly bookworms, and would recognize each other in classes or whatever, and some friendships there. So I don't know. I still go to the library for books when I'm really interested in a subject, but most of my learning is surface learning now. I don't delve deeply into too many topics, and even when I do, it's often just bookmarking several posts or tweets or combinations. So curating material, a curating aspect of learning, a lot of schools and I think maybe Teacher Lee still uses Padlet or something similar. It doesn't work for my personal style of learning, but definitely appeals to a lot of folks. And I'm not sure how social much of that is, or if it's any different in what we retain. Do you think you remember more or less, or no difference really?
Differently, I think we learn more using new technology. Yes, of course, definitely.
That you remember?
I have more tools,
Mm-hmm.
We can talk. Now, in the past, to talk to someone in English, it would have been very difficult for me. I should go to Barcelona, which is very far away, and spend a lot of money. And now, just from my home, and I don't have to pay anything. Even, in the past, telephone was very expensive.
Right.
Don't stay too long in the phone. It's expensive.
Yes.
And now it's free because it uses internet technology. It's free.
Yeah.
I think, imagine in the 80s that we wouldn't have thought that we could talk and see a person from the other side of the ocean for free.
Yeah. It's huge and relatively new. Yeah.
Even in science fiction movies, they had to pay.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember the first webcam call that you had, or audio call?
Not really, but it was a little bit before of I met you on Loop. Less than a year before I started using webcam calls.
Do you remember how you found out about them? See, I don't even remember.
Yes, I remember how I found out Loop because an internet friend that I met in another website to meet people to talk in several languages, So he told me about Loop, but he wasn't an active member. I never met him on Loop.
Oh, interesting. But you heard about it that way. Interesting.
Yeah, I told you the name of this guy.
I remember that
from Nepal.
Yeah, yeah. And maybe some of the people I have talked with, I don't realize that I've known them by a different name, because the screen names that people use on different sites are part of the challenge as well. I don't remember my first Skype call. I'm pretty sure it was Skype, although it may have been a web conference, so professional development. I don't remember my first, or how I learned about it. Probably at a TESOL conference, but I'm not sure. But how quickly it became part of my life. It definitely was a Holly. It was something that worked for me. It took me a while to get reasonably comfortable with the webcam. I was more comfortable audio. And for a long time, the connection that others had, and as you know, my connection was so weak that audio was a smarter way to go. Now, most people, almost everywhere, can connect reasonably reliably, unless they lose power, like poor Black Mata with the rolling blackouts. Unless they have this issue, usually connections are much more stable. And that's a huge, huge improvement as well. Access to more and more people. There are more efforts underway to help this in the US as well as in other parts of the world. Right here in Charlottesville, there's a new proposal that is not that expensive, and I hope will be considered, and that is to provide free internet access hookups to lower income housing areas. Many folks there don't have this, and it's not that hard to provide. So more changes to come.
And what about your place? Do you have optical fiber?
No.
A dream?
No.
It's a dream, yeah. I have a dream.
It's still a long way, for Elizabeth or I to have that success story. It's right up the street, but it stops, and there's one property owner years ago when it was under construction and could have been done at much less cost. A property owner said no, and so everything past there did not get it, and now the cost is huge to have it done. So not enough of us here.
Yeah, I remember those times in the past where almost everybody had a telephone connection.
Yes, yeah.
And
Remember the
now
old AOL dial-up? You wait and wait and wait.
I think
Oh,
optical fiber even is more important than telephone connection because you can do many more things
yeah, so much faster.
and working from home.
Yes, yeah. Do you think a lot more people will work from home? It's interesting how some people are going back to the office because and more people are trying combination.
You know, the latest conference about mobile phones in Barcelona.
Yes, yeah, in
So the
Barcelona.
most important thing they talk about is 5G. It would be
Really?
very powerful connection, up to 20 gigabytes per second, and with a
Why?
lower
What will that? How? I mean,
20.
4G and 3G are so fast. Why do
How
we need?
far now we are in 4G, but I think there are places that in America that are experimenting with 5G.
Wow. Why? Why? What will that jump give us? That I mean, 4G is awesome. Why do we need 5G?
A lot of
Oh,
information and low latency, lower latency.
yeah. Huh. Wow. So you think we'll see more people trying to work from home? Do you
Yeah,
think education will move toward more online?
yeah, I think it's happening already.
Do you think
Which
your high school experience now could be mostly online?
I'm not sure
Yeah.
if parents will trust
A lot
their
of uncertainty.
children doing their homework, attending classes from home.
What about a requirement that everyone has access to what they need to accomplish, but must be in school so many hours a week in like an open study hall with lots of teachers and
Yes,
support there?
I remember many things that we did in a school, in high school, where you could do them now at home because the teachers told us the lesson, but we could have a better teacher and watching a video and
Yeah,
then asking the questions to the teacher. So it
yeah.
would be more profitable and better.
And teachers willing to admit that are using that approach, what they call flipped learning, where class time is just that, is assistance and help and checking, and for those who are getting the concept, further projects um, or
I remember teachers that they were dictating the lesson. What a
yes,
waste of time.
right.
Give it written and we'll read and we'll ask you questions. So what's the point of doing that? I found that very stupid and now even more stupid.
And so many classrooms, I think, are still led that way, and more students disheartened, frustrated, bored, uh, and with very valid reason. What is the purpose? Yeah, yeah. My worst professor, and I was so, I went to the president of the college. I was so annoyed with this guy. But when I went to the president of the college, I learned that the provost was this guy's wife and that my complaints were not going to go anywhere. His tenure was golden. He was a tenured professor, but all he did was read our reading out loud, and maybe 3 times during the hour would look up to see if anybody was awake and if anybody wanted to answer a question. It was just such a waste. Um, yeah, and I cannot imagine having access to a computer or a smartphone since middle school and going to high school that's taught like that. Just no. How do you have respect? How do you build social skills that turn you into meaningful, helpful citizens? Yeah, I don't know what the answers are either, but I'm so curious to watch more transition in approaches to work and school and life as we get more conveniences and don't need as many hours a day at work or have as many reasons to be physically at a job. What do we do with our time besides waste it online? That's giving meaning to life again.
Is it allowed in your country to students recording the classes?
I don't know. In college, many classes, yes. I don't know in high school and middle school.
Mm-hmm.
But you could do it surreptitiously. There's an S word. You could do it without the teacher knowing easily enough and better quality. Hidden cameras, hidden videos, hidden weapons.
So some of them claim copyright rights, but which copyright rights? What they are planning is not their idea.
Wow. And so many scams and so many fact checkers. I like the idea of students being trained to be fact checkers. I think that takes you far in life. And but how many teachers are ready to respond to bright students who are fact checking and interrupting and must be a bit smug. I would have been when I was in school if I was allowed and encouraged to fact check the teacher. But how many students too go home and hear different facts from their parents and caregivers? There's a lot of trouble brewing and attitude that way. And I'm sure it was there when I was young too. I don't think I picked up on it as much, but now probably would because of all that we are exposed to. I often think back to when I was a member of Stop Students to Oppose Pollution in high school. And I would have loved social media and we went and put posters up all over town and plastered them on certain businesses that were bad in our minds and tried to get the news media. That's exactly what we were pushing for. So I can imagine that I would have been an activist in a much different way then and would have been smug and smartass with some teachers and students. And I think that's what you need in today's world. You have to be ready, willing to fact check and stand up more for or differently for your beliefs. I think people's points of view are more discernible today. But I don't know if it makes it easier or harder to find friends, to trust friends.
And one question about you. In America, why don't you do demonstrations when you are unhappy about something that the government does? I don't see that in America. I know you are quite unhappy about many things, but I don't see this power that in Europe we do. In Spain and in France, demonstrations everywhere.
And the hordes of people. I'm always struck by how many hundreds of thousands of people go to the streets here, if we can get 1,000, we're doing well. Martin Luther King rallies and the post-election rallies here were some of the largest and Vietnam War protests were some of the largest in my memory lifetime. But it's not something my family, so personally, my family that's not the direction to go. That's the way to get yourself into a mob mentality and not really know what you're, not necessarily supporting exactly what your beliefs are, but what the mob's beliefs are. And there are better ways to protest. So I have a lot of that in my own self that stops me, because it was definitely not something either of my parents supported. Learning, reading, educating yourself, writing letters to congressmen, yes, but street protests, no. Elizabeth, you're quiet if you're still with us. I think you are. Any thoughts to share in the chat on that? Why don't more people show up for protests?
Why Americans are so indulgent with themselves? Why they don't speak up what they think and do some action? It doesn't need to be violent protest, you know. It can be peaceful. It can be a million of people in a peaceful demonstration, but in America, usually demonstrations are violent.
Peaceful demonstrations often have fewer participants.
But not in Spain. You've seen that.
Right. But here, I'm just thinking that when there's action, when there's more, yeah, I don't know. I've often wondered the same thing. I get astounded when I see the photographs of protests in South America, in Europe, in Russia, in Asia, at Tiananmen Square, I often think about in China.
Poor China, poor China. This President Xi now is entitled to govern as long as he wants to. You know, like Mao Zedong.
Right. Yeah, no, Putin's trying to go for the same thing, maybe.
But at least Putin has people in Russia support him, you know, because they are very nationalist. But in China, people are blinded and controlled.
Right. Elizabeth's writing about intimidation tactics in the US, but I almost feel like intimidation tactics are stronger in other places. Maybe more visible, maybe more, I do not know. I still, if I were physically able, I would have been at the march last year ago, January, with my daughter. Something was pulling me to be there for that. But I don't know if I would if it were again today, where I could try for part of it anyway. Yeah. Something in the culture. Maybe because our big breakaway protest was to start the USA. Maybe we think we're above that. And we have better ways of doing things because we're such a democratic society with a Congress that functions. Yeah, right. We're not going there. Recently, more protests, I feel, are more marches are planned, but they don't get the participation.
Yeah, when I see a protest from America, small people, a few panels, but that's ludicrous.
Yeah, and yet
even worth mentioning in Spain. Such
the aerial photos from Spain or from anywhere else almost are just hundreds of thousands of people. Yeah. We get more for parades. Maybe we
Yeah,
should.
that's what I think about
do
festivals,
a
parades.
protest parade. Maybe that would work.
Jolly festival.
Yeah, music, having bands, music attracts people. Yeah. A sobering thought. I'm trying to go with S here. Yeah. So when you figure it out, you can write an excellent viral post about it. I'm also surprised that more people don't talk about that. I don't read many people comparing those numbers. Yeah.
You know, a good topic you could protest about and have demonstrations is the weapons control. That,
Yeah,
you know,
but that's an obvious scary one to have because of the excellent potential for a violent counter effort. Yeah, culturally, I think we're definitely in some sort of flux, or we are a stronger separation. I'm not sure if it's both or which is more true, but there are more people trying to live truer to their worldview, and more people living truer to materialistic capitalism, money, power, sides.
could we apply the adjective listless to people?
Listless?
Yes.
Yes, but listless is more, and it sort of fits, is more often used for a physical and and that is pretty much the so apathetic could be
Apathy.
be used. Yeah. Some empathy, but not a willingness to jump in. Apathetic. Yeah. Listless more with how many people are feeling, react, just overwhelmed with helplessness.
I know another word.
My decoration of my car, I think, is part of that. At least something people will see that shows I'm not completely blind and not completely unaware of. I didn't hear your last question.
Yes, I know a word that starts with S, but you really hate this word.
Yes. Elizabeth used that with an apology talking to me. Yeah. But is that how you want the youth to react to everything? Oh, that you want. That's not the right attitude. Smiling isn't working anymore either. But some, but yeah. There is a lot that word applies to lately.
Yeah, even you. I guess you would use this word sometimes.
Rarely. I just the image that pops into my mind is just enough to send it violent. So yeah. I was thinking today, I don't know why, but earlier this morning, thinking about my brother who is 9 years younger than I am. and some of the differences in his school experience from mine or from my older perspective. Looking back, and I think how quickly we shed the silly teenage stuff and pretend at least to be more adult or demand the respect of a young adult. But I relate that and then think of the changes he went through. He was very bright, but didn't apply himself. He was bored in school and did not find any studies that really appealed to him, except for band. He enjoyed band, but then he stopped playing music when he got out. He didn't follow up with it. But he did not want to work manual labor with my father, which my father would have loved. He had no interest in my father's business, but he went and worked for a car shop, an auto shop, and worked on cars, not mechanics, but collision damage repairs and repainting and custom design work. And he probably wouldn't like my car now, but that's okay. But the scorn people had for his choice. He liked his work. He was great at his work. He had a strong work ethic, and my father did physical manual labor, my mom and dad. So it wasn't that they scorned manual labor, but they scorned his lack of pursuit of something better. And why? And now we're back to a circle now of how, if that's what you are interested in, have a passion for, have knowledge in, have expertise in, have willingness to develop a work ethic for, why squash it? Encourage it, let people grow with that. And he outgrew it himself. He wanted more. He saw that he worked his way up, and then short of deciding to own a body shop, he didn't see another step up and decided to change. But there was nothing wrong with that. That should have been celebrated, I think. Lots to commend him for. And yet society and family had a hard time with his choices. So now there's a lot more encouragement to value passion for learning in whatever direction that takes you. So in your awareness in Spain, securing a job is more important than securing a job in something you like?
Yes, I think so. Because it's so difficult to finding a job in Spain, It's not in America. It looks like it's very easy because the unemployment rate is very low. So you can choose. You have more options in America. But here you need to work in something that you have the likelihood to find a job.
And then you're in it forever. It's very hard to change, right?
Yes, it is. And sometimes when you apply for something, you study for something, okay, that's good right now, but then maybe 10 years later, things will change.
But still not many people successfully changing. Right?
In Spain, I think the main if you want to thrive economically, you need to start your own business, even in a small business, and being successful, doing things well, because the salaries are not so high here.
And are you able to start a business while you're working? Is that allowed?
Not really, unless you. No, I don't think so. Half time, working half time. I don't know.
Like online businesses?
Yes, maybe. Yes, that could be an option.
it's the cultural influences are so strong in the different realities of insurance and children or no children and supportive parents or supporting parents, disabilities or benefits or lack thereof. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how, I don't know enough teenagers to know how, the teenagers I know fairly well are strongly guided and very aware. But I know that there must be teenagers with less of that awareness, and I don't know what their thinking is. I know many don't want to work at McDonald's, Starbucks maybe.
Walmart.
And Walmart doesn't have the best reputation. But I don't know. From what I've read, there are far fewer teenagers working. There are many more employers that don't want to hire teenagers. And yeah, no. Elizabeth says no.
Walmart. I think she said no because Walmart. No, I'm not Ivan, I'm Gerard. Ivan is the Russian guy with the beer. From Spain. Barcelona.
Easy to do. Yeah.
So Holly, I must run because I have an appointment with a friend and he must be waiting.
All right. And I just quickly want to tell you that the literacy volunteers that I was so excited about in December, looks like maybe April. We're talking several times a week again now. And so maybe we'll start seeing a few more folks joining.
Okay.
Teachers and students.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks.
Holly and Elizabeth. See you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Elizabeth.